Welcome to my channel, My Teacher. Fourteenth lesson in 10th science is transportation in plants and circulation in animals. In this video, I am going to explain about the transportation in plants. Transport means to carry things from one place to another. Water and mineral salts absorbed by the roots reach all parts of the plant through the xylem. The food synthesized by the leaves are translocated to all parts of the plant through the phloem. The bulk movement of substances through the vascular tissue is called translocation. Means of transport in plants. The transport of materials in and out of the cells is carried out by diffusion and active transport in plants. Diffusion. The movement of molecules in liquids and solids from a region of higher concentration to a region of their lower concentration without the utilization of energy is called diffusion. This is a passive process. Observe the diagram. You can see the number of molecules before and after diffusion. Active transport. Active transport utilizes energy to pump molecules against a concentration gradient. Active transport is carried out by membrane-bound proteins. These proteins use energy, that is why we are telling active transport, to carry substances across the cell membrane. Hence, they are often referred to as pumps. These pumps can transport substances from a low concentration to a high concentration, that is uphill transport. Osmosis. What do you mean by osmosis? Osmosis is the movement of solvent or water molecules from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. This process is carried out till an equilibrium is reached. Osmosis is the passive movement of water or any other solvent molecules. Plasmolysis. It occurs when water moves out of the cell and resulting in the shrinkage of cell membrane away from the cell wall. Imbibition. Imbibition is a type of diffusion in which a solid absorbs water and gets swelled up. Example, absorption of water by seeds and dry grapes. You can observe it by putting some dry grapes or chickpea in water for few hours. We can see it gets swelled up and seemed bigger in size. If it were not for imbibition, seedling would not have been able to emerge out of the soil. See the picture of root tip with the root hairs. You can see three distinct regions: region of meristematic activity, region of elongation and region of maturation. In the region of maturation, we can see the root hairs. These are the absorbing units in roots. There are millions of root hairs on the tip of the root which absorb water and minerals by diffusion. Root hairs are thin-walled, slender extension of epidermal cells that increase the surface area of absorption. See the diagram showing the pathway of water absorbed by roots. Root hair absorb water. From there, it enters the root cortex cell. From there, it reaches the xylem vessels. Once the water enters the root hairs, the concentration of water molecules in the root hair cells become more than that of the cortex. Thus, water from the root hair moves to the cortical cells by osmosis and then reaches the xylem. From there, the water is transported to the stem and leaves. Types of movement of water into the root cells. Once water is absorbed by the root hairs, it can move deeper into the root layers by two distinct pathways. One is Apoplast Pathway, second one Symplast Pathway. Apoplast Pathway. The apoplastic movement of water occurs exclusively through the intercellular spaces and the walls of the cells. Apoplastic movement does not involve crossing the cell membrane. This movement is dependent on the gradient. From the picture, you can see the Apoplast Pathway. Symplast Pathway. In symplastic movement, the water travels through the cells, that is, their cytoplasm. Intercellular movement is through the plasmodesmata. Water enters the cells through the cell membrane, hence the movement is relatively slower. Movement is again down a potential gradient. See the picture displaying Symplast Pathway. Transpiration. Transpiration is the evaporation of water in plants through stomata in the leaves. Stomata are open in the day and closed at night. The opening and closing of the stomata is due to the change in turgidity of the guard cells. When water enters into the guard cells, they become turgid and the stoma open. When the guard cell loses water, it becomes flaccid and stoma closes. Water evaporates from the mesophyll cells of leaves through the open stomata. This lowers water concentration in mesophyll cells. As a result, more water is drawn into these cells from the xylem present in the veins through the process of osmosis. As water is lost from the leaves, pressure is created at the top to pull more water from the xylem to the mesophyll cells. This process is called transpiration pull. This extends up to the roots, causing the roots to absorb more water from the soil to ensure continuous flow of water from the roots to the leaves. Transpiration is affected by both external and internal factors. External factors are temperature, light, humidity and wind speed. Internal factors are number and distribution of stomata, percentage of open stomata, water status of the plant and canopy structure. Importance of transpiration. Creates transpirational pull for transport of water. Supplies water for photosynthesis. Transport minerals from soil to all parts of the plant. Cools the surface of the leaves by evaporation. Keeps the cells turgid, hence maintains their shape. Root pressure. As iron from the soil are actively transported into the vascular tissues of the root, water moves along and increases the pressure inside the xylem. This pressure is called root pressure and is responsible for pushing water to smaller height of the stem. Uptake of minerals. Plants depend on minerals from the soil for its nutritional requirements. all minerals cannot be passively absorbed by the roots. Two factors account for this. Minerals are present in the soil as charged particles or ions that cannot move across cell membranes, and the concentration of minerals in the soil is usually lower than the concentration of minerals in the root. Therefore, most minerals enter the root by active absorption through the cytoplasm of epidermal cells. This needs energy in the form of ATP. Then it is transported to all parts by transpiration pull. Translocation of mineral ions. Minerals are remobilized from older dying leaves to younger leaves. This is a method of saving the minerals. This phenomenon can be seen in deciduous plants. Elements like phosphorus, sulfur, nitrogen and potassium are easily mobilized, while elements like calcium are not remobilized. Small amounts of material exchange take place between xylem and phloem. Phloem transport. What is the material transported by phloem? Yes, the food. The food synthesized by the leaves are transported by the phloem either to the area of requirement or stored. Phloem tissue is composed of sieve tubes which have sieve plates. Cytoplasmic strands pass through the pores in the sieve plates. Phloem transport food, that is sucrose, from a source to a sink. The source is part of the plant that synthesizes food, that is the leaf, and sink is a part that kneads or stores the food. But the source and sink may reverse depending on the season or the plant's need. Since the source-sink relationship is variable, the direction of movement in the phloem can be upwards or downwards, that is bidirectional. In contrast, the movement is always unidirectional in xylem, that is upwards. Ascent of sap and its events and overview. See the picture showing the direction of water from the root to the stem. It is a transpiration pull which forces the water to come up. The upward movement of water and minerals from roots to different plant parts is called ascent of sap. A number of factors play a role in ascent of sap, and it takes place in the following steps. Root pressure. Water from soil enters the root hairs due to osmosis. Root pressure is responsible for movement of water up to the base of the stem. Capillary action. Water or any liquid rises in a capillary tube because of physical forces. This phenomenon is called capillary action. In the same way, in stem, water rises up to certain height because of capillary action. Adhesion cohesion of water molecules. Water molecules form a continuous column in the xylem because of forces of adhesion and cohesion among the molecules. What do you mean by cohesion? The force of attraction between molecules of water is called cohesion. Then what about adhesion? The force of attraction between molecules of different substances is called adhesion. Water molecules stick to a xylem because of force of adhesion. Transpiration pull. Transpiration through stomata creates vacuum which creates a suction. called transpiration pull. The transpiration pull sucks the water column from the xylem tubes, and thus water is able to rise to great heights even in the tallest plants. Thanks for watching my video. If you like this video, kindly subscribe my channel, My Teacher.